Hey guys, what's going on? Cody Barton here. Welcome to my channel. And I really wanted to make this video to kind of get into the debate on whether or not creative financing really can make that much of a difference when it comes to your investing and your investing strategies. And so specifically what I'm going to be talking about is why we will buy properties at full retail market value as an investment property. One of the common things that people will say is you never want to buy a property at retail value. That's not a good investment. So when it comes to investing, I always think of investing as, when it comes to real estate anyways, you're investing on a couple of different things. When you're buying the property, you're either investing and getting the right terms as far as the price that you're buying the property at, or you're buying the property and getting the right terms as in financing in place for that to be a good investment property. So I'm going to share with you just a quick example. I was having a conversation actually today with a buddy about interest and amortization schedules. And if you are hearing amortization schedule, what the heck is that? I'm going to talk about that in this video. It's something super simple. You don't have to, overcomplicate what, that is. But let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to do two examples here. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so let's take a look here. We're going to look at two different examples. And I'm not going to talk about all the benefits of investing in real estate, but I'm specifically just going to be talking about hacking terms and getting the right terms when you're buying a property. So let's look at, and forgive me, I am so bad at drawing, but I'm going to do my best here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this property here. We're going to draw a little house. So we got a house here, amazing skills. Boom. So we have a house there, and then we have another house over here. And we are going to look at both of these as an investment. So typically, and I'm not going to get too in the weeds on this, but typically, a good deal for a rental property, you can buy up to 80% of value. So what does that mean? So if this property if number one here is worth $300,000 and number two here is also worth $300,000. They're both worth the same. 20% off would be basically you would be buying this property for $240,000. So the value, I'm just going to write that just because you see the struggle with my drawing here. So our value is 300K. Our value here is 300K. So that's just, they're worth the same. And this property is being bought at, $240,000. That's, generally a good deal would be, getting at 80% or less for a rental. Obviously, the less you can get it for, the better. Of course, I know that as an investor, but just for this example. And when you look between both of these, which one would you rather take? To me, I would take either, but I prefer this one if I have it on the right terms. And now, what do I mean by that? So there's, two different ways you could buy these properties. Number one, let's take a look at this argument. So typically, if you're going to go get a rental loan, you're going to have a higher interest rate. It's not a primary residence. Banks are going to charge a higher interest rate. So let's just say conservatively around 5%. So you go out, you find this property, and you're going to buy it for $240,000. It's worth 300. So great job. You got a good deal, right? So you're going to buy that as a rental. You go to your bank and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a loan for that. So we'll give it to you at 5% interest, which, for a rental, not too bad. Typically anywhere from 5 to 7% is going to be, relatively normal as of the filming of April 2021. But things can change on this. So we look at that 5%, our loan is $240,000 that you're getting the loan for the property for. I know I'm not going into the details of how much was the down payment and all of this. I'm just saying if the loan amount is $240,000, which is 80% of the value of the property. And then let's go take a look over here at property number 2. So I will pay $300,000 for this property if I can get the right terms. And now what do I mean by that? Myself and my business partner, Pace, we buy a lot of properties at really good terms. So for example, sometimes we can get a deal on a property where we're buying it for, 1% interest. Because we're having the seller carry the note, which basically in easy terms, it's basically an IOU to the seller. It's, hey, Mr. Seller, I want to buy your property for $300,000. Here's a piece of paper that says I agree to pay it, and you sign it, I sign it. That's a note. There's a deed that's going to be attached to the property that basically says, if I stop paying this, then you can foreclose on me like the bank. So basically the seller is becoming the bank, and you create a piece of paper that says, hey, I owe you this, right? So, we buy a lot of properties at 1-2% interest because we get sellers to agree to terms with us. But our favorite way to buy is at principal only payments or 0% interest. Now, you'd be surprised at, how many properties that we've actually been able to buy with 0% interest terms in here. So let's take a look here. So I'm curious, in the comments below, let me know. And if you watch to the end of the video and answer, you're cheating, but let me know what your initial thoughts are of who got a better deal. If this person bought the property for $240,000 and I bought the property for $300,000, who got a better deal here? Let me know what your initial thoughts are. So let's take a look here. So we have this property at 0%, 5% here. So let's take, number one, let's take a look at what that monthly payment would be. So let's jump over to the amortization schedule. So this is Bankrate. This is great. It's free. It's a free tool that you can use if you're ever trying to underwrite seller finance type properties. So let's take a look at this $240,000. So if we have $240,000 and our rate again was 5%, I go ahead and calculate. So our payment is $1,288. So I know it's 0.37, but I'm just going to write the general term. So $1,288 a month is what the payment is going to be, principal and interest. So principal meaning the money that you're paying towards paying it off, and interest meaning the bank's profit here. So that's what my payment looks like at this purchase price with that loan at this interest. And then let's take a look at what this would be. And this is over 30 years, by the way. So mortgage terms over 30 years. So comparing apples to apples, let's look over here at property 2. So we're at 0% interest. So I can't even use this calculator because it doesn't allow 0%. So what you do is you could just use a basic calculator. So let's look at that. So let's pull that up. So if we're buying the property for $300,000, let's do the math. 300,000 divided by how many months are in 30 years? 360. So there is our monthly payment. So $833 a month. So let's again, our purchase is for $300,000. And again, I know I'm not including down payment and all that. I'm just showing loan balance. So if our loan's $300,000, we have a payment of $833 a month. So let's look at the first initial thing here. Which property do you think has better cash flow? Meaning if I buy this property, number one, or I buy property 2, and I go to rent that property, which one is going to probably get more cash flow? I'm going to help you with the easy ones. This one is going to get better cash flow because our payment is only $833 a month versus $1,288. Guys, we have a higher loan. Our payment is lower because this is where the game changer is. This is why banks are the richest freaking entities in the world. This is why every town you go to, the banks are the tallest buildings because of interest. This is it right here. So when you know how to utilize interest in your favor, you can make some crazy things happen. And so this is our strategy within our business. And if we take a look at this, let's see here. We have 833, 1288. Now let's go to the fun stuff. And this is like where I really start nerding out. So, bear with me here. So let's look at this over time. We obviously had a better deal here as far as purchase price, but terms were better here so far. So let's look at this in 10 years on how much is owed left on this. So if you buy the property right here, for, again, $240,000 is our mortgage. So we're starting off with, month one, we owe $240,000, and then we make our first payment, and then our balance starts going down, right? So simple enough. So something to take a look at here is when you're looking at the principal and interest, look how much is being paid in interest versus principal. It's insane. This is why, again, banks are so rich. Because when you go and get a loan with them, they are front loading it with interest. You're paying in way more interest than you are in principal. So that's why, like, look at this. Oh, in a year, when 1 year, the bank makes freaking $12,000 basically in interest, while you in a year pay down maybe $3,000. That is why, again, banks are so rich. So let's jump to this, though. Like I was saying, let's look in 10 years. 10 years would be April 2031 as of this video. So let's look at that. So we scroll down to April 2031. So in 10 years, you're still paying $815 a month in interest on your loan. You are then paying only $470 a month towards principal on this loan. And in that time, you've paid $100,000 in interest and your loan balance. So the amount that you still owe to the bank is $195,000. So I'm just going to use, the front end of this number just for easy math. So in 10 years, we owe on this loan $195,000. Okay. So let's take a look at 10 years when you don't pay any interest and you're just paying principal payments on this one. So we have a lower payment here, right? But let's take a look here and see how much this pays down over a year. So if we have $833 a month times 10 years, that's 120 months. We have basically, let's call it 100,000 because it's easy enough to round up to that. So we had 99,000 and some change, but let's call it 100,000 is paid off in principal. So notice there's no interest, right? Because we had zero interest. But if we pay off $100,000, the 300 is now we owe, our loan balance is for $200,000. So let's look at that. If we look at over here, even though they got a deal that was on paper $60,000 better when they first bought it, and ours was, it looked like on paper a worse deal, our cash flow was better. And in 10 years, we're basically pretty even. Yes, they paid down, they're at 195, we're at 200,000, but it's pretty dang even there. So where does this actually start to, make more of a difference? Let's take a look at, 15 years on this. And obviously you can continue to go, add more and more and more years, but let's look at 15 years. So April 2036, April 2036, here we go. Our loan balance on the 5% interest is, we're still paying more in interest than we are even in principal. So in 15 years, we've paid $154,000 in interest on this loan. The loan balance is $162,000. So let's jump back over here. So we are at a loan balance of $162,000. So that's how much you owe the bank still on this 15 years, at 15 years into your 30-year loan. And so let's take a look at the interest only at 15 years. Where are we at? So at 15 years on interest only, we have that's 180 months. So 180 times $833 a month. Let's round up. That's 150,000. So what is our loan balance? 150,000, 300,000 minus 150, we're at 150. So this is where you see the difference starting to happen. The compounded interest over time and the change of, why creative financing, why seller financing, if you can get homeowners to sell to you on terms like this, why this is so powerful. Because in 15 years, I get a seller to sell to me on terms. I pay full retail for their property while other investors are having to buy for a discount on their rental properties just to be able to get financed rate of a higher interest rate of 5+% on this property. And in 15 years, the same 15 years, they got a discounted property. I paid full retail. I have more equity than them at 15 years, only by 12,000. But if you look at 20 years, around 20 years on the schedule, it even starts to get, this gap gets bigger and bigger. So when you're looking at creative financing and when there's investors and there's people in the industry that say you have to buy at a deep discount, it's not always about the discount. It's sometimes about the terms. So when you're trying to purchase a property, you got to be looking at buying it for the right terms, not just the right price. So hopefully this was able to help you. I know I didn't go into detail on taxes and insurance, and I didn't go into how much specifically cash flow difference is, but we can both agree, if you take a look at this, that our cash flow is going to be better on the one with better financing than the one with worse financing because of what the monthly payment is. And we could both agree that in the long term, we are going to build more equity than the person that has a higher interest rate on their individual property. So this is just something to keep in mind when you're out there real estate investing. If you have any questions about this example, please let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, let me know. I'm happy to do more videos of breaking down deals and kind of talking about why certain types of financing make sense and why certain types don't. And for this tool, guys, it's free. This is what I use all the time. It's amortization, Bankrate. You can just go to the amortization schedule on Bankrate and play around with different numbers, changing mortgage term in years, months, interest rate, all that fun stuff. So but that's just to give you a good idea of what the difference is and how powerful it really can be if you get good terms when you're buying properties. So again, if you have questions, let me know. But I really wanted to make this video to kind of clear the air of there's been some investors that they talk poorly about buying properties close to retail or at retail value, which of course, if I could buy if I could buy property 2 for $240,000 at 0% interest, then it's an even better deal. But I wouldn't walk away from the deal at this because I know what this is all looking like here. So keep that in mind. If you want more videos like this, let me know in the comments below. I love talking about this stuff, but if you have any questions as well, if there's something that I said that you're like, what the heck is Cody talking about? Let me know in the comments below. Happy to get those answered for you. And if you got any value from this, like if you just learned something that you're like, holy crap, that's amazing, let me know. Like the video, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell, help me out with that YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you in the next video.